Just so I don't go over my 8 to 10 minutes, I'll read my presentation. As I said, I work with the Gitanyow First Nations, and I've been with them since 1996. And our main objective has been to protect the lands and the resources belonging to the Gitanyow, Wolf, and Frog clans. Our main objective is the protection of lands, which covers approximately 627,000 hectares in the Nass, the Upper Kitwanga, and Upper Kispiok watersheds. Wilkwasla, Mali, Hijams, and Willits hold well-defined territories which are managed according to a strong and enduring system of land ownership. Wilpkamlachiald, Huatachayat, Gunu and Luchon also exercise jurisdiction over their individual territories and practice the conservational laws of the Gitanyow. The individual territories are known to our Wilp as our food table, as it provides to us our food, our medicines, clean and abundant water. In light of climate change, it's been more imperative for the Gitanyow to protect these resources and to keep the air clean and breathable. It has been only a couple of decades that the non-Gitanyow have begun to practice the art of conservation, a practice that is encompassed in the Gitanyow laws, our ayok, and our songs, our limchaot. Our totem poles hold the history of the Gitanyow, and our laws are embedded in that history. The ultimate responsibility of a hereditary chief is to protect and practice conservation, because ensuring the ecological integrity and function of the ecosystems provides all essential life support for the Gitanyow. Our people are connected to the land, and our legal obligations are not just for health of land and water, but to the whole system of our Wilp, including our oral histories, our ranks, which are passed down from generation to generation, and we pass these on to our future generations, including their rights and obligations to the land, a land that is now decimated due to over-harvesting of timber and development of roads and the over-harvesting of other non-forest products. The Gitanyow have worked for many generations in the conservation and protection of the resources on the land, and in the last decade began a process of writing down what we have learned from our ancestors. And so began the development of our land use plan, which reflects what we see as an avenue in which we can have coexistence of our title and the Crown's claimed title to Gitanyow territories. We've negotiated with BC and timber companies to reflect the importance of this land use plan in a government-to-government agreement that can be legalized in both Gitanyow and provincial laws. We have developed a document called Histories, Territories, and Laws, Part 2, and Part 1 was done in the late 70s. And this is to provide some direction regarding the use of our land and resources, which would enable us to continue to practice our inherent right, title, jurisdiction, and laws within the boundaries of our territories. The continual goal of the Gitanyow has been, and will always be, the long-term sustainability of ecological resources for each of our Wilp. Our goal to secure a government-to-government agreement with BC is a result of our vision of working with government in joint management, strategic planning, shared decision-making, and accessing the economic benefits, including potential carbon credit arising from our enhanced protection, conservation, and restoration of our land. Meeting these goals will ensure an economic system that provides a steady flow of resources, goods, services, and revenue to meet the needs of the people over time, but does not reflect Western concept of unlimited consumption. In order to achieve the goals of the Gitanyow, the land use plan must be enforceable, as it identifies an interconnected network of areas that should be maintained in their natural state. We have specified in our land use plan areas to be deemed as conservancies, such as the Hannah and Tintina Creeks, because this area is critical spawning ground for salmon. We have old growth areas, as most of our lands have been stripped bare of trees, which are required for healthy air, and for the harvest of our natural resources, such as mushrooms, medicinal plants, and high-value wildlife habitat areas where industrial extraction is to be prohibited, and all are linked together by the ecosystem networks. Hydro-riparian ecosystem networks consist of core reserves which encompass the full hydro-riparian zone and buffer zones, so that all high habitat values, wildlife corridors, ecosystems, biodiversity, and all Gitanyow cultural features are protected. The Gitanyow have relied on the ecosystem network for generations and have worked to protect these sensitive areas by producing a document that can guide industry in the way they operate. We have worked to develop our Gitanyow Constitution, which can guide industry in consulting with the Gitanyow, and we have a cultural heritage policy that reflects what we need to protect in all aspects of protecting our history, our way of life, while providing some guidance in light of climate change. We have to change the way industry operates on the land, and we can only do that by completing and enforcing written documents that will recognize the importance of our food table, the Gitanyow traditional names which reflect our oral histories, and recognition of the Gitanyow wilt boundaries. We have come a long way, but there are still outstanding challenges, and these include, number one, completion of a shared decision-making agreement. BC has not yet committed to making important strategic decisions like establishing sustainable harvest levels jointly with Gitanyow. Legalization, status, and enforceability of the Gitanyow land use plan. There are many loopholes in the provincial law. For example, outside of conservancies and protected areas, BC does not have land use designations that address cumulative impacts. They say that the protection for wildlife habitat and old growth areas in land use plans legally only constrain logging, not other resource projects. And one of the examples, potential Northwest Transmission Line impacts on ecosystem networks and OGMAs. Development and establishment of a BC and a Gitanyow timber harvesting allocation process within the Gitanyow territories. BC's 10-year system continues to prioritize resource companies. Overall, BC land and resource legislation, regulation, and policies continue to deny the existence of the Gitanyow. The time has come for government to work and join with the Gitanyow to make changes and prepare for restoration projects such as replanting of trees, which are critical to restoring our ecosystem networks as we continue to be a part of the changing world. While we try to maintain what is important to our wilt, the protection of the land, air, and water is of the utmost. In light of all these issues regarding climate change, and government's initiatives around green energy, we must abide by our own laws and learn to conserve all the natural energy we have. Industry cannot continue to come and devastate the lands. And with that, I wanted to thank West Coast Environmental Law for the opportunity to be here. Most of the time it's our chief negotiator that does the work, but there is a loss in his family, so I'm here tonight. Thank you.